The literally everything includes a politician promoting Kegel exercises.
Are you humping the air hoping this promotes some type of birth rate increase, dude? Bro, this is not gonna get the huzz to bro. What? I'm gonna be honest, the only thing I really know about Korea is what? Kimchi, BTS, New Jeans. Oh, wait, Train to Busan. There we go. But today, I guess we're gonna learn some of the problems with South Korea. You know, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. So today we got South Korea is broken.
South Korean politicians are all morons!
Damn, what do they be doing, bro? They be selling y'all out to the, I don't know, the Europeans and the transatlantic slave trade? Because that's what they did to us.
Do literally everything to try and fix their birth rate problem rather than getting to the main cause. The literally everything includes a politician promoting Kegel exercises.
Are you humping the air hoping this promotes some type of birth rate increase, dude? Bro, this is not gonna get the huzz to fuck with you, bro. What?
Or suggesting girls start school a year earlier than boys to make them more appealing. What? What the fuck are you talking about?
What are you talking about, bro?
If you ever
Yo, why that kind of hard though? I heard he was a kid diddler is crazy.
watched any of Bong Joon-ho's movies, you would know that the main message of all of his amazing movies is South Korea is a fucked up place. This country is literally ran by Samsung, LG, and Hyundai Kia. They have a horrible work and school culture, but by far the
So just kind of like Japan in a way, huh?
most important quote-unquote challenge they face is the horribly low birth rate they have. It is the worst in the world.
So nobody is having sex, you know? Just like me, I guess.
And it's recently plummeted down to 0.72 births per woman. A country needs a birth rate of 2.1 to keep their current population, let alone grow it. And they're at
So South Koreans are going extinct right now, bro.
22. So why do the South Korean women not want to make babies with these handsome, rich, cute
Handsome, rich, bro. I'm not over there, bro. Not me. No, I'm just kidding.
little twinks? They fuck with the other guy. They ask me to give up my seed. South Korea is miles ahead in misogyny technology than every other country in the world. Among Korean men, there is a widespread perception that designated seats for pregnant women are an excessively female-friendly policy, to the point where
So basically, these dudes have no home training and the girls do not like them anymore. I don't know. That's crazy.
it became a trend on the internet to protest this policy by posting photos of dudes sitting in these seats as a form of protest. Imagine you're a woman
So they're catching them in 4K sitting in the wrong seat? Imagine?
in South Korea, right? You already have these unbelievable, unrealistic beauty standards.
True.
Where to be considered pretty, you have to be basically a supermodel.
You gotta be a supermodel. You gotta be white. I heard they be bleaching their skin like OD heavy out there. It's crazy because like in America, the women, I guess they'll tan or whatever to get a little darker or whatever. I don't know. And in Asian countries, everybody's just trying to be white. Everybody's trying to be white and very, very small. Like you'll never see anything about like BBL culture out there or I don't know, being darker or anything like that. Like big lips, I think is considered weird. BBL weird. Being darker weird. They just want to be as skinny as hell. And like, yeah, before and after. Got that Steve from Minecraft going on. I see why you changed it. No, I'm just playing. That's messed up, man.
South Korea has the most plastic surgeries per capita in the world, with over 1 million operations happening every year. And
I
with
didn't even know
every
that.
1 in 4 women aged 19 to 29 already having plastic surgery done, with men being 2%. On top of this, these motherfuckers decide to give you the largest wage gap on the planet.
The difference in women's and men's full-time earning, 31.2%. Yeah, we got to get rid of that, bro. We got to get rid of in Japan is 21. I didn't even know that.
For your hard work. And they only decriminalized abortion in 2021, 3 years ago. It's not legal now, but it's not illegal either. Me personally, if I was a woman, I would be crashing out and tweaking. Man, fuck men in particular, but not literally, which is how the 4B movement spawned, which means no dating, marriage, childbirth, or sex with dudes. And when your country
So they're basically just going on abstinence. They're going on strike from, you know, talking to dudes because the dudes in government positions are so damn terrible.
These laws about women are written by John Jones and Harvey Weinstein, with intense misogyny, discriminatory laws, and the highest wage gap in the world.
Yeah.
It is no surprise this movement spawned
Why would
in
they?
South Korea.
Yeah.
You know what does not help either? South Korea being the most expensive place in the world to
No
raise
way.
a child, costing around $270,000 to raise a child until the age of 18. In second
If my child is $271,000, yo, you're getting sold to the factories. No, I'm just kidding. But like,
place
bro,
is
really?
the glorious People's Republic of China, Taiwan, South Korea, Your destiny is to be obliterated into nothing by a Chinese Dongfeng missile. South Korea has
What?
this phenomenon called academic elitism, where basically if you don't go to the best universities they have to offer, your life is basically over. You're gonna get a shitty job, no money, you'll be sucking dick behind the KFC on Daihakro Street for money.
Sign me up for that. I'm not going to college then if I'm Korean.
And then there are the sky universities, Seoul, Korea, and Yonsei universities.
The good ones.
Whether or not you get into one of these 3 universities decides your financial and social position in the country for the rest of your life. It's like parkour civilization.
So this is the reason why Asian parents are so like on everybody's heads, you know, to be, you know, so good in school. Because bro, this is the stuff they had to deal with.
So there's a huge pressure on the Korean youth to get into one of these, which is why private tutoring has a whole term for it called hagwons, and why it's a $20 billion industry.
Damn.
Because every parent, no matter
$20 billion industry on just tutoring? Buddy, that's like our industry in like OnlyFans in America, bro. Their priorities are better than ours, bro. Let's be real.
their financial capability wants their child to succeed. And since Korean society is set up in a way where you need to go into the sky schools, Korean households spend more on private tutoring than housing and food. Because of these exorbitant prices, households can barely afford 1 kid, let alone more. And they also probably don't want to put their kids through the same education hellhole they went through.
Right.
An 8-hour entrance exam? Real question.
You're giving me an exam for 8 hours? Bro, I'm just gonna immigrate, bro. I don't care if I'm an illegal immigrant, bro. I'm getting out of there.
8 hours with Diddy or 8-hour entrance exam that decides.
I go, at least with Diddy, you have a chance of getting something good at the end of that, whatever it is. Yo, maybe that's messed up to say, bro. I don't mean to dismiss the victims. I'm sorry.
Rest of your life. Discuss in the comments below. The Korean entrance exam, CSAT, aka Kokskibidi ass torture, literally has killer questions that are bullshit questions.
Like what?
Just to make the student scores lower. A lot of times these questions aren't included.
So they're putting claymores on the ground during the exam too? Not only is it 8 hours, it's also a minefield.
Normal schools either, but are only included in these private tutoring schools. So already, if your kid is not in those expensive private cram schools, he's set back by this capitalist shithole called South Korea. And these killer questions are either some insane deluded algebra questions that have not been solved by any mathematician ever, or some obscure literary takeouts. What did Tyler respond to Kai Senat when Kai asked her
We're employed. We don't care about these questions.
out on a date? Oh my god, bro. They only decided to remove these questions last year, so good job on that. But Koreans still spend nearly $20 billion a year on these private tutoring schools. Usually what happens in a normal Korean teen's day is they go to school from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. already.
So like a little 9 to 5, basically like it's a full-time job and stuff.
8 hours of classes, and then goes to the private cram school, which usually goes from 6 to 9, already 11 hours of classes, and then the rest of the day is spent studying at home before falling asleep and lacking on sleep. A lot of people
Bro, this is basically like being a Chinese factory working child, you know, doing child labor and stuff. Bro, this is a full-time job.
estimate that they
Not only that, you don't even have guaranteed success at the end of this.
spend 12 to 17 hours a day just studying. Why are the fertility rates low? Bro, if you told me I had to study 15 hours a day, the last thing on my mind would be
It's getting
kids.
huzz, yeah.
I want to make kids out of spite of what this world has to offer. Because why would I want to let my kids go through this hellhole called studying in South Korea?
Not only that, okay, boom, their studying environments are trash, right? They study for 12, 17 hours a day. They wake up, they eat some food. Like their whole day is spent being a hamster on a wheel. On top of that, when they have kids, there's no like benefits to having kids. They cost so much. You gotta put them through school. You gotta spend so much money on tutoring. And then on top of that, bro, when do these people have time to socialize and, you know, talk to people of the opposite gender? Of course the population is gonna die out. This stuff is indeed broken.
A big part of their demographic crisis is that they are extremely urbanized, and as all problems, it always comes down to fucking real estate. Over half of South Korea lives in the Seoul metropolitan area, and because that's where all the sky universities are, so everyone who wants to live well has to live in Seoul, and also because there are a bunch of construction restrictions that don't allow for a lot of housing to be built. So the limited housing in Seoul is basically a bidding war between Samsung higher-ups, normal South Koreans, and the guy from Squid Game. And the bidding
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a monopoly type of situation going on. That's tough.
war usually ends in the Samsung higher-ups buying these apartments, renting it to normal South Koreans for huge sums of money, and the guy from Squid Game sucking dick behind the Shake Shack in Yong District for 2,500 won.
It's that easy to get head out there, bro? Actually, I gotta pop up, bro.
on so he can keep chain smoking his SA lights. In 1928,
They call him SA lights? Isn't that a Hispanic term?
Stalin started the first 5-year plan, and the goal was to move these stupid, dumb, illiterate peasant farmers out from the farms and get them into cities where there was big industry and make them make tractors and a
Damn.
bunch of other cool shit.
You gotta disrespect them like that.
Moving illiterate peasants out from these big farms and cramming them into apartments, the Soviet Union's birth rate crashed. In peasant farmer societies, children are usually encouraged because they're more of a free labor and not as much of a financial burden. However, in cities, raising children is expensive and you also don't get a large family to help with farming. You're all alone in that Samsung factory, resulting in this, where you can clearly see that the fertility rates in big cities are much, much lower than their less urbanized areas. In Vienna's airport, they made the benches purposefully uncomfortable to keep people from sleeping on it. A real dedicated sleeper like me will
I'm
never
sleeping on it
succumb
regardless.
to the capitalist invention of anti-homeless infrastructure. And even though
Side note, bro, anti-homeless infrastructure is one of the worst, lamest things you can do because people will rather, spend their hard-earned dollars on finding ways to make these people uncomfortable when they don't have homes than actually support them in finding a way back to homelessness, like as if homeless, you get it?
metal roads were hitting me straight in my hips, I had an amazing 8-hour-long sleep in this airport. Governments will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building anti-homeless infrastructure
It's the
just
worst.
for me to sleep on it, when the only anti-homeless infrastructure that works is giving the homeless homes. And yeah, South Korea is cooked on all fronts. Not only everything I mentioned, but
Yeah.
also their views are literally the complete opposite of women. It's like the South Korean male population thinks women are their enemy, because what even is this divide?
So are they just like a bunch of incels? Yo, this is actually a lot worse than I thought, dude.
It's literally just two opposite extremes, and the chances of them getting along to the point where they would want to have children is slim to none.
Yeah,
because of this
I get it.
toxic work, education, and dating culture, South Korea has the highest self-end rate in a first world country. Recently, I went out for a walk in Tbilisi with Geopol, discussing important topics such
I thought it was Japan, bro. I thought Japan's, self-deletion rate was the highest. Maybe I'm wrong, though.
Diddy and Skibbity toilet. And when I came back to my apartment, my Lenovo monitor had broken itself. Hong Kong had disappointed me. The warranty people told me it would take 3 weeks to order me a new one, and I would genuinely rather be waterboarded than not have access to my computer for 3 weeks. So I went ahead and got a new Samsung monitor.
Okay.
With this, I contributed to the mafia, not so secretly running the country of South Korea. In 2017,
Wait, are you being literal, or is Samsung literally a mafia running the country, bro?
the son of the chairman of Samsung literally bribed the president for a
Oh.
corporation favor that would benefit Samsung, and then got exposed for it. The president
Never
got
mind. It literally a corrupt government movement, bro.
overthrown, and Lee got sentenced to 5 years in prison. Then they reduced it to 2.5 years and
Why?
released him after serving only 1 year in prison. Then
Nah, he just paid them off too, bro. He
for
got
some
money.
reason, he had a retrial about this, got sentenced back to prison for 2 years and 6 months. And then when there was a global chip shortage in the world, Joe Biden went to South Korea because America needed more chips, and the new president of South Korea pardoned the chairman of Samsung, and now he leads Samsung.
Are
I'm
you
really-
serious? Joey Biden himself made the boss call and said, nah, get him out of there, bro. We need the chips. We need new iPhone. We need new Samsung products, bro. That's messed up.
Liking this monitor though, like, look, I can rotate it and watch Instagram reels like this. I don't know
So it's
what
worth
it would
it.
take for the South Korean government to realize that their ultra-capitalist society is the cause for all their difficulties, such as being an incel, pulling 2014 ISIS numbers, and the real estate market being horrible. Also, the three big companies, but mainly Samsung, have so much power over there that every politician is there to serve Samsung's interests and not the South Korean people. You guys already saw how Samsung literally bribed the president with $37 million, and that is only one of the things they have been exposed
Right.
for. Just imagine how many secret deals have been taking place with Samsung's leaders and Korean politicians.
Not even a Samsung. It could be any of those big companies, bro.
I do not care how much money you have. If you're going to be alone for the rest of your life and also hold some extreme beliefs about the opposite sex and also never be able to own a home for yourself, no matter how much money you have either way, because Samsung exists, what's the point? And
Yeah,
government-funded
yeah.
matchmaking events to try and get people to talk to each other is not going to fix the fact that even if they really, really liked each other, they wouldn't be able to
That's true. It feels like they're putting a band-aid on the situation, if that makes sense.
afford the home because Samsung keeps buying up all the property to the point where they have their own little town dedicated to themselves. But a bunch of corporations have their own office towns. This isn't my big beef with them. I hope my Samsung Samsung monitor does not shut itself
Yo, you better hope Samsung doesn't just come in and try to, take you out, bro.
off using their Samsung AI to detect the words I'm writing and fucking explode my monitor. This is genuinely a cyberpunk dystopia if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I would describe it like that as
Where
well.
one company controls everything and bribes the president. These huge country-controlling, family-owned companies are the cause of nearly all of South Korea's problems.
Honestly, bro, I thought in my head that South Korea was a little bit bigger than this problem. I feel like this is something that would happen in, like, I don't know, Haiti. Shout out to Haiti, though.
But they enable you to watch Instagram reels on a full 4K screen in
Yeah.
portrait mode. Basically, if you're
I guess that goes to show that, like, the whole world is corrupt in some form of some way. Like, even in America, bro, we have, big companies and billionaires bribing politicians. Let's be honest, bro.
South Korean, you only have 3 options: Samsung worker, professional League of Legends player, or a K-pop idol.
That's
And
it,
when you
bro? I can't be a core star out there, bro?
become
Damn,
a
okay.
K-pop
Never
idol,
mind.
you are basically signing your human rights away to become a slave for a management company, where you live in dorms with your group members that are about to debut and literally starve yourself as a diet, usually eating about 1,000 calories a day.
That's how it looks so weak, bro. Onions? Ugh. Carrot? Corn? Ugh.
These women are stronger than most men in the galactic empire. I mean, American military. Because they eat basically nothing all day and train these
Consumed about 300 calories a day? No way. And you still look like this, bro? I'm not gonna lie. 300 calories a day? You gotta be looking like Brooke from One Piece, bro.
dances for 8 to 10 hours a day, aren't allowed to leave without permission, and are not allowed to date anyone. And after 2 to 4 years of training, they might not even debut because their management company will refuse it. So put some fucking respect on K-pop's name. You
Okay.
might not like the music, but the work these people put in and the literal slavery they had to go through to get to where they are is just respectable. Game
Yeah, that and even the actors too, probably, right?
recognizes game. If I was a slave for 4 years and then random American teenagers made fun of me because I look gay and have plastic surgery, I would tweak out. I would defect to North Korea and send one of their
Damn.
Hwasong-19 missiles.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. I think I wouldn't care. Because my thoughts process is like anything in my life would have been way harder than the hate that I'm getting from America's social media. Like, I don't give a damn. I'm getting my money.
To that kid's house. Bye bye, Russia. What do you think nearly all the cinema that comes out of South Korea is about hating rich, big, corrupt companies such as Parasite and Squid Game? This is their reality that
True.
they're living through. Side note, on top of this, they require me a visa to go there? Ah, hell nah. You know who doesn't require a visa for me? The European Union and China. I know who I'm choosing. Like, and
Wait, where are you from? South Korea requires a visa to visit? I didn't even know that, bro. Well, that is why South Koreans are officially going extinct per se. That is why, people are dying out. There are a lot of issues with South Korea, but the main ones stem from, companies holding a monopoly on the country per se. The government is being bribed, and different people, different companies, Samsung, can do whatever they want, and they start tweaking out. Even with that, the universities, the work culture, having to study so long, so many hours, doesn't give men and women time to intermingle. And then when having kids, bro, it doesn't benefit you at all because they cost so goddamn much. And then when they're older, they gotta study and be forced into this exact same horrible life cycle. Why would they want to have kids? So I guess, yeah, that is gonna do it for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord link in the description. With that being said, it's Love Hello. I love you, and I'm out.